Hello chess friends and welcome to your side of chess channel and welcome to the FIDE Blitz Chess Championship in 2023. We had really 2 beautiful days of sharp tactical blitz chess. 21 rounds have been played and many great players have tried it out. Many great players wanted to, of course, to have this prestigious chess title. It was really an up and down, but through the whole event, Magnus Carlsen and Vladislav Artemiev were in the lead. Now in the last round also Daniil Dubov joined the show. First of all, I wanted to show you what was, in my opinion, one of the best games through the whole tournament. It was an amazing, sharp tactical game played by Magnus Carlsen against Alexey Sarana, and then in the end, I'm going to reveal the final standings of the FIDE Blitz Chess Championship in 2023. So let's start now with this one. This one was really epic. So with the white pieces, Magnus opened with the move e4. Alexey Sarana's response was c5. The Sicilian knight to f3, d6 modern variation. Knight to c3. Delaying so far the situation in the center. We can always play d4 afterwards. Knight to f6, bishop to e2. Here Magnus goes into similar ideas like in the king's Indian attack. Is of course trying maybe d3 kingside castling, then maybe knight to e1 f4 g4 hitting somehow here the kingside. We have a6 by Alexey Sarana, immediately trying to create also a flank attack on the queen side with b5. Here Magnus continues with kingside castling, and now b5 immediately by Alexey Sarana. The engine doesn't like this move. The engine likes here that you somehow fix the center with the move e5, but probably Sarana was worried about some weaknesses around the square d5. So b5, okay, is maybe not the optimal move, but of course in blitz chess you can also surprise your opponent by deviating from standard lines. So Magnus goes immediately with d4, aggressive line, really cool move here by Magnus. What should black do? If black continues with b4, it seems tempting, and it seems so that you could maybe get the e4 pawn, but after a couple more moves, actually the position is collapsing for black. You have to play e6. We can even continue with bishop to c4. You have to step back. Now we pick up the pawn. You cannot take because of the tensions on the e file. You can maybe try a5, but now look at this. White continues simply the attacking flow, and the game, I think, is very bad here for black. Even if you try here d takes c5, then we simply play bishop to g5 again. So as I said, nothing gained here for black. So d4, really aggressive move, but still you can see b4 is not possible here for black. That's why c takes d4, knight to d4, here played by Magnus. Although maybe again a slightly better continuation would have been knight to d5. After knight to e4, queen to d4, you have to retreat, and now after knight to f6, g takes f6, many weaknesses in black's camp. Although up a pawn, but here I would not love to play this game because I think your king is simply stuck in the center, so not the optimal here continuation for black. After move knight to d4, as we said, Magnus continued here with bishop to f3, didn't go for this knight to d5 line. Bishop to f3 controls, of course, the e4 square. Knight from b to d7 by Sarana. We have a4 by Magnus, and again Sarana makes maybe not the optimal move. Here he played b takes a4, b4 maybe slightly better, forces now a simplification. After knight to d5, you can of course play e5 and going into similar structures like in the Najdorf, but I think this would be already an improved sort of, I would say, Najdorf structure, because we have a6, d6, e5. Then white needs to retreat, and I think afterwards we can also occupy the c5 square, rook to c8, knight to c5, bishop to e7. Solid moves, I think, here for black. But Sarana took b takes a4, allowed here Magnus Carlsen to get with the rook into the game very actively. We have e6, and now Magnus goes with a very aggressive move, rook to b4. Really wild stuff how Magnus is using now the heavy artillery in the attack. And Alexey Sarana immediately doesn't react correctly, plays now knight to c5, and now the fun starts. Look how Magnus is playing now the game. First of all, rook takes b7. This is the way to go. Magnus sacrifices the exchange, knight takes b7, and now e5. We're liberating now the long diagonal. The knight is under fire also, so you have to play here d takes e5. But Magnus, it's really tricky here. Magnus is not playing bishop takes b7. It's of course possible. Then after something like e takes d4, we can play bishop to c6, queen to e7, b3. Very dangerous, and I think this game is collapsing already here for black. So that's why here after move rook takes b7, knight to b7 and e5, Magnus went for an even more aggressive line. Really crazy how Magnus is playing the game. He doesn't want to take out now the knight on b7 immediately. He plays bishop to c6 after knight to d7 that Alexey Sarana played, covering himself. Magnus plays another brilliant move, knight takes e6. Really crazy tactics in an early stage of the game. After takes e6, Magnus goes, of course, queen to h5. Here, after knight to e6, you cannot here play queen to a5. You cannot step back because you get checkmated in one. That's the issue. After knight to e6, f takes e6, Magnus goes with queen to h5. Again, you cannot play g6 because queen to e5. Very dangerous. You have to play something like rook to g8, step back with the rook, and now after queen to e6, queen to e7, we can even play bishop takes d7. You cannot play here queen takes d7 because of the activity of the queen. You have to step back, and now after queen to b6, something like this, we can simply pick up the knight, also pick up the rook, and the game is over here for black. So you see g6, not a good continuation here. So that's why after queen to h5, king to e7 had to be played by Magnus. Now comes bishop to b7. Good move, of course, by Magnus. And after rook to b8, here Magnus continues the attacking flow with the move rook to d1. Bishop takes a6 was probably better, but when you sometimes are on the attacking side, then you want to keep the attacking flow. You want to play the most aggressive moves. Of course, not the optimal way to play rook to d1. But again, Alexey Sarana doesn't maybe play the best move here. He should have simply played queen to e8, but still, white is much better. Bishop to g5, knight to f6, we can play queen to f3, and the game is again devastating here for black. But here after rook to d1, here Magnus, here Alexey Sarana played queen to c7, wanted to get out of the d-file mess. Magnus continues now with bishop to a6, knight to f6 by Alexey Sarana, and now the first inaccuracy, I would say, here by Magnus Carlsen. Here he should have simply played bishop to g5, continued the pressure, the knight is pinned. After something like queen to c6, we can step back. The problem is now black cannot pick up the pawn on b2 because again knight to e4 is going to happen. There's simply too much pressure around this knight on f6. Or after something like bishop to d3, you could maybe try the move h6, but white doesn't have to even retreat because there is this tension on the h file. You can maybe play bishop to h4, g5. Now we play bishop to g5 again. The position is collapsing here for black. But Magnus played queen to e2, really an unnecessary move. Here Magnus almost ruined the perfect game because bishop to g5 was, I think, really the best move here for white. But here after queen to f7 was played by Alexey Sarana, knight to e4, knight takes e4, queen to e4. Alexey Sarana is of course trying to simplify the game by trading off more pieces. We have bishop to e7, we have bishop to d3 by Magnus. Still, white is much better because we have here two connected passers. So, and we have the bishop pair, the optimal sort of down the exchange situation for white. We have rook to b4 attacking the queen, queen to f3, bishop to f6, and now c3 kicking with the rook. Rook to a4, bishop to c2, we have rook to a1, and now g3. Magnus creates of course some breathing spaces and is finally trying now to get the move queen to h5. So here we have rook to d8, rook to e1. Again, Magnus keeps the pieces on the board. h6, king to g2, improvement of the king, and now after queen to d7, Magnus goes with h4. King to e7 by Alexey Sarana, and now bishop to e4. Magnus controls, of course, the light squares. This bishop is pretty solid because it's protecting everything. It's not allowing here the queen to sneak in on light squares. Of course, the queen can come, but everything is so far well protected. And also, Magnus has some worries here because of the problems of the first rank. We have queen to b5 by Alexey Sarana, and now Magnus played a new inaccuracy which almost led this position to a draw. Magnus has still here much better position, but here he played a seemingly tricky move, I would say, with the move g4, but it's not working actually if black plays the correct move order. Here Alexey Sarana took, that's perfectly fine, but Magnus played now bishop to g5, of course attacking the king and also now taking the rook. But the position is now an opposite colored bishop's endgame, and these positions are hard to win. The engine gives here 0.0 evaluation, so no one is here in favor, but if only black continues in the proper way. Here, rook to d2 was played by Alexey Sarana, and that was now, I think, the crucial mistake of the game, because queen takes b2 would solve all of the position problems. After something like rook to a7, we can cover ourselves, and this is, I think, not the winnable position anymore here for white. Here, after rook takes a1, Alexey Sarana played the unnecessary rook to d2, and actually the position is now collapsing, because here after rook to a7, the check, here you have to cover now with the rook, and now Magnus Carlsen played bishop to c6, and in this particular position Alexey Sarana resigned. So you don't have to time to get somewhere with the king, because the queen is also coming into the game. You have to cover it now with bishop to c6. The game was over. So Magnus Carlsen won this game. We're going to now skip to the current standings, or the final standings of the tournament. So after 21 rounds of, as I said, sharp tactical chess, Magnus Carlsen won his 17th title in chess history. Really, really crazy stuff. This was the situation after 20 rounds. Let's see the round, the standings after 20 rounds. Magnus Carlsen had half of the point more than Daniil Dubov before the last round, but Daniil Dubov managed only to play a draw, and Magnus Carlsen played also a draw against Levon Aronian. Vladislav Artemiev then didn't have chances, because he was the whole point behind Magnus Carlsen before the last round, so his result didn't matter in the end. Only Daniil Dubov could catch up with Magnus Carlsen, but as I said, he only played a draw. Daniil Dubov played, I think, really also brilliant tournament. But Magnus Carlsen is the deserved winner of the FIDE Blitz Chess Championship in 2023. Magnus again won everything. Really wild stuff. Congratulations. This is really, again, GOAT performance. No one can play chess like him. He's simply the best, and we're of course happy to live in his era. Congratulations, Magnus, again. Really, you make everyone happy, I think, when he participates in tournament, and that's exactly what he said. He wanted to play this faster time formats because he feels happy when he plays them, and as I said, he's not playing maybe so many classical tournaments, but that's his decision. And you see, when Magnus is happy, then the whole world is happy. So okay, this was it. We're going to cover, of course, a couple more games from this tournament, but as I said, so far these are the final standings. We will cover many real games, because so many epic sharp tactical games have been played, but for the end, congratulations Magnus Carlsen again. So this was it so far from the FIDE Blitz Chess Championship in 2023. So if you want to see some other content here on my YouTube chess channel, check out our commented chess games, but also our commented chess games played by computers. Here are some links of our playlist, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you with some more videos, and what do we say? Chess is the best, of course.